What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to an episode of First and 56. Rondo, Griffin, Anthony, good looking Marcus Martin, your hosts, as always. I don't even know where to even start on this one. There is a lot that happened this past Sunday, obviously against the Browns, ends up in a loss. I'm not the one in general. I always hate blaming officials, blaming refs on the outcome of a game. For the most part, I always think it's a lazy excuse. But sometimes that shoe just fits. We're gonna get into the rest of the 59 minutes and 45 seconds of this game. But gentlemen, Marcus, I'm assuming you were there in person. Illegal contact, pass interference, very questionable, highly debated. Marcus, as someone who was physically there, what did it look like from the ground level?
It definitely didn't look like it definitely looked like he made he made the contact for the DB, Amari Cooper. He actually initiated the contact basically. I don't know what the ref was seeing or what he saw or where he thought he saw. It clearly states in the rule book that if the receiver initiates the contact and plus the ball wasn't even catchable, then it shouldn't have been called illegal contact. It took the life out of the stadium because on that direct play there was a fumble, which EJ Speed caused PJ Walker to fumble the ball, and we just erupted. We thought we had the ball back, and then you see that yellow flag come out on the field, and it just took the life out of the stadium. 70,000 people just went completely quiet.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Also, we're watching the game at home, and you watch the play, and it's just like it absolutely makes no sense. And on continuing on the thing I was saying about the rule book, the context of the play matters as well. So at the time when the illegal contact happened, PJ Walker's on the ground. So it's not like it was the illegal contact prevented a play from being made. The ball was nowhere near in direction of that player. Like you said, it's a strip sack fumble, game-winning strip sack fumble at that. And even then, you go to the second one, the PI, it's an uncatchable pass. It bounced into the stands. It didn't even land inbounds. Calvin Johnson's not even catching that thing as high up as it was. I mean, Gulick, like, what did you see?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, that first play, that just left me baffled. I mean, as Marcus said, the receiver initiated contact. So I thought that was bogus. I mean, quite frankly, it it kind of reminded me of that play in the Chiefs and Jets game earlier this year, where the Jets got the interception, and then the Chiefs, the ref threw the flag on the Jets after the interception was made. Like you said, the fourth fumble was already out. I mean, Walker was already on the ground, and then they threw the flag. So to me, it's just not right. I mean, it's also another one of those things where they were letting the guys play all game, basically. Like they were getting physical, and then they decide, until there's 40 seconds left to call it, which I don't like. Which it's always going to happen. I'm actually pretty calm about it now, but I was pretty irate during the game. I'm still not over it. I mean, I'm pretty sure like 95% of Colts fans really aren't. But that illegal contact play really got it for me, just because you caused a turnover. I mean, the pass interference was bogus too. I mean, that was even worse. But I think that was second or third and goal. So even if they don't call that, they still have another chance. Granted, it's not going to be at the goal line, but they still have another chance after that. If that flag doesn't get called on the illegal contact, we just knee it out and win. So I was more upset about that one. The pass interference, I mean, the rule book states it's uncatchable. I mean, I've seen all the memes, like, Wembanyama wasn't catching that, like, like that, it was just so out of reach. But, it's just bogus. I mean, later in the day, I mean, we weren't the only team to get screwed by the refs. I mean, I'm obviously, like, just like you said, Rondo, you can't blame it on the referees, but the Rams got screwed literally an hour later or an hour and a half later. So it is how it is. the worst part about it is nothing's ever going to happen to the officials. So, you just got to take it. Roger Goodell sucks as usual. The Players Association can fight all they want. Nothing's ever going to happen to these guys. So, it is what it is. I mean, it's just very, very just disheartening.
Yeah, and it leads to the conversation you mean Marcus had on the last show of that the ironic thing is that none of these refs are full time. They are all technically part time employees. So it goes back to a systematic thing over the NFL just not caring that much, And you can always have the argument of which sport has the worst refs. As I've always said, as a ref, if I know your name, it's never for a good reason. Like it's you would think us sitting at home, the millions of people sitting at home, that it's an easy fix. And yet these billion-dollar companies go out and prove out year in and year out that, it's an unfixable problem or whatever. Or even then, it leads to conversations you have of, is the league rigged? Is it rigged? You go back in the day with the mafia and everything. Obviously, there's been stories of, go back to 1918 with the Chicago White Sox and that debacle. Obviously, Tim Donahue in the NBA. Who knows? Maybe there's the NFL one sneaking in there well, but stuff like this definitely does not help the game.
Absolutely not. And then you think about it, it seems like it's gotten worse over the course of the years, ever since the league started allowing sports betting, and it seems like it's just gotten absolutely worse over the past 2 years, and it's cost a lot of teams games. At the wrong time, like playoffs, Super Bowl. It's just getting out of hand, and the league needs to make these refs full time. They didn't make these refs full time. I think that would probably help a little bit. I'm not going to say it's going to help a whole lot, but I mean, I'm pretty sure if they were full time, it would definitely help in certain situations.
Yeah, I mean, to me, besides making them full time, I just think the rule book in itself has to be changed. I mean, we were talking after what was it, the Rams and Saints, that you should challenge a PI call. I mean, granted that was a no call in that game, but like on a call like that where it was called, I feel like you should be able to challenge that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we saw later, like I said, with the Rams later in the game, it was fourth down. The Steelers clearly are short, and instead of reviewing the play, they just spot the ball, pass the chains, and then they kneel it out and win the game. Like a play like that should be reviewable, not just a freaking shitty spot by the referee, and then they just magically get the first down. If he's short, I mean, especially in the fourth quarter with under 2 minutes, I feel like plays like that should be reviewable, because they definitely do look back at it. If it's a receiver, if it was a catch or not, when they see if the ball hits the ground or something like that. Like, they'll review that, but they won't like challenge a spot or a PI, which I don't think is right. So I just think the rules in itself are kind of screwy, and just like you said, Marcus, I feel like referees would care more if they were full time. I mean, we seen it. I mean, honestly, I saw the downfall coming years ago when was that the Packers and Seahawks, when Golden Tate just stuck his hand in there and they won the game. I mean, I thought that shit was rigged back then. That was like 7-8 years ago. I mean, it's getting worse now, but it's just not a good look for the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of goes back to like an age argument, like you say, changing the rule book. For me, it's a thing that's kind of appropriate of make them answer press conferences. Have them answer for the calls that they made. Players got to do it. Coaches got to do it. Why do refs get to skate free from that? At that point, at least the way you said about accountability, and then them get sense, because even then with players getting in trouble, we're privy to fines when players get them, whether it's a penalty or they break a rule, whatever, and we're privy to exactly how much they have to pay when they broke a rule or messed up or something. With the refs, they always say that they have these fines or these penalties or whatever. We never hear about it. We never hear anything about it. Them getting suspended, nothing. So have them answer press conferences. Start publicating their fines or whenever they get in trouble. But you've got to do something that, like I said, bring that keyword of accountability back, for more so for the integrity of the game. Because again, this doesn't help, like you said, with is it rigged? Who's got money on what? The refs got money. Like, again, we all remember the Tim Donahue thing in the NBA. Like, you obviously the last thing you want is something like that to blow up. So it's like you need to get a hold over this right now before something happens.
Absolutely. And what was really so frustrating about the whole situation is, it was a really good game. It was a really good game. Now, uh, Miles Garrett got away with a couple things that I thought that should have been called. The leap over the offensive line field goal. If you go back and look at the replay of that, there was a lot of Browns players holding the offensive lineman down so he can make that leap. He did make contact with the center as he was coming over. That was never called. That went on to issue the block field goal from 60 yards. Um, but we had our chances. I'm not gonna sit here and blame everything on the refs. We had our chances in that game. Gardner Minshew has to hold on to the ball. I mean, that's 8 turnovers in 2 games, man. And I'm tired of going back and forth with AR haters about how Gardner Minshew should be the starter and blah blah blah. If AR's in the game, you don't have 8 turnovers in the pocket. You don't have that, and it's just. I mean, Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but like me and you talked about last week, Rondo, he is a relief pitcher. He is, to me, he's not your everyday starter, which right now we really don't have much of a choice, but he's just a relief pitcher. And his pocket presence is not very good. And like I said, I'll go back to saying it again 8 turnovers in 2 games. That's just unheard of for a quarterback in the pocket. So we've had our chances. The refs did blow it at the end, but, we should have never been that close in the first place if we would have capitalized on uh, the offense.
Yeah, like you bring it, like you say, Gardner's not. He's not the guy. Like you say, he's a relief pitcher. He's a spot starter. He's there because of circumstance. He's not the plan. We don't care about that. And like I say, you don't expect kind of like the excellence you would expect from Richardson, but like you said, you still expect competent football. Like I'm agreeing with you, 8 turnovers, that's absolutely unacceptable. I don't care who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you're hard pressed winning a game, turning over the ball that much. So even the fact that we're in the position that we were in, numbers wise, it says we shouldn't. Crazy thing though, as we bring up Minshew, we talk Richardson, we talk his offense. If you guys remember last year in our pathetic offense, we're the only team in the league this year to score over 30 points in every single game of the season. Like, so how far we've come from last year, mind you, with the still revolving door we've had at quarterback. So it's a little weird. But Gula, I want to talk to you about something because we were talking about the offense. So it's a popular quote now from Michael Pittman about coming off this game. He only gets 5 targets. It was his first game not getting double-digit targets, in a game this season. And a quote comes out that, oh, maybe I'm just not that big part of an offense. People now trying to say that he's a diva or whatever. But Gula, what do you take from the quote?
I mean, I've been a big of supporter of Michael Pittman as anyone, but I think it was bogus. I didn't really feed too much into it because he got the most targets. I mean, I think he tied for the most targets with Downs that game. Downs only got 5 targets. He caught them all. Pittman got 5 targets and he caught 2. So, he's a big part of the offense. I mean, clearly, when we need him, he's there. In the fourth quarter, when we needed a big play, he's there. But quite frankly, a lot of Downs' big gains were from busted plays, free plays. Miles Garrett jumped over the line twice, and the corners, for some reason, just stopped playing, and Downs took advantage of it. I mean, it's really, really simple. But also, you also have to take into account that Minshew's the quarterback. He's not going to, I mean, granted, he threw, I want to say, 50 times in the Jaguars game. Now, Michael Pittman had over 10 catches. I think he had 10 or 11 catches and over 100 yards in that game. But you don't want Minshew throwing the football 50 times
Right.
in a football game. Like, the run is always, always, always going to be first. I mean, at least until Anthony Richardson is back, the run is going to be first. I mean, Shane Steichen still showed, his playbook where he'd run and read options with Minshew, and Minshew was getting rushing touchdowns himself, which is crazy. But he's not going to be dropping back a lot because, like you said, Marcus, his pocket presence sucks. Like, that forced fumble that led to a touchdown. Granted, Blake Freeland, rookie tackle, he it looked like he didn't even try on that play.
Mm-mm.
But if you're rolling left in the end zone, you got to know where guys are. I mean, it's as simple as that. This guy, just like Marcus said, he's a relief pitcher. He's a good player. He's accurate when you give him time, but you can't expect sunshines and roses from Gardner Minshew. It's I feel like if you even had Wentz knew what he was doing with Pittman. I mean, granted, he was getting the ball out. His pocket presence was better. Even Matt Ryan's pocket presence was better. But Minshew just, you know, with the games where he came in against Houston and Tennessee, like in relief, he only threw for about 150 yards each game. Granted, we won each game, but he only had, say, 11 or 12 completions in each of those games, and then 150 yards. And there's only one ball to go around, especially with Jonathan Taylor back. Because think about it like this: Zach Moss is getting catches out of the backfield. Jonathan Taylor is. You got Downs. Pierce is going to be your big play guy, but we're not going to be throwing the ball downfield that much. Pittman is there, and then you got the tight end. Mo is not going to get involved, but what's going to happen when Jelani Woods comes back? Ogletree is there; he's going to get targets. So with the amount of times that we're throwing the ball, I feel like Pittman's getting his fair share. I still feel like he's going to get extended, but this is just one of those things where he just has to hold out and wait. I mean, he's grinded his whole career for a franchise quarterback. We finally got him, and it's unfortunate that he got hurt, but he just has to grind it out for this last part of this season, and then literally he's set for the rest of his career.
Yeah, it's kind of weird for me, honestly. Like, I love everything Pittman said. I love that. That's the kind of attitude I want from him. Because you guys remember before the season started, and they were interviewing him because he was the veteran of the receiver room, and they asked how's the season going. He's just like, it's team effort. I'm just another guy on the roster, blah, blah, blah. And people came out and was like, oh, that's not receiver one attitude. That's not receiver one attitude. Now he gives you a wide receiver one quote of I'm the guy. I need more targets. And now you Colts fans are mad again. Like, do you know what you want? First, he's not a receiver one. Then he goes balls out, gets 10 plus targets every game, except for this one, only gets 5. It comes after this game after not getting his usual 10 targets, and he's saying, oh, I guess not part of the big offense. Similar to Jamar Chase when he was just like, I'm always open. Like stuff like Pittman saying that, oh, I'm not that big a part of an offense after getting 5 targets, which pretty mild of a quote when you compare it to, Jamar Chase. I'm always open. And a bunch of these other guys, I'm like, that's the attitude I want from Pittman. Absolutely. Because you are a big part of this offense. Say stuff like that. But now this next game, when you get your 10 targets again, I'm most likely expecting, show out again. Shut him up. But I have absolutely no problem with what he said. Part of it will be probably due to the fact that it's in a losing effort. I'm sure if we win that game, he doesn't say that. But like in a losing effort, sure, you're going to feel that way.
I agree with you, Rondo. I have no problem with Pittman making that statement. He's just firing up the receiver room, basically. You know what I'm saying? And he's firing up himself. Like you said, in a losing effort. Oh yeah, he's pissed. He's mad. We didn't win the game. We didn't do enough to win the game, and that's basically what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? You didn't give me enough targets. Maybe if you'd have given him enough targets, maybe the outcome of the game might have been a little different. You know what I'm saying? But he felt like he wasn't part of the offense because he only got 2 targets. I think it was, good. Shane Steichen said in his presser that, hey, we're going to do everything we can to get him the ball. He said he likes that kind of attitude from his receiver. He said he didn't have anything against it. We're going next game. We'll do everything we can to get him the ball. Josh Downs has been balling. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, the guy is always open. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even though there was a bunch of blown coverages, against the Browns or whatever, but Josh Downs is always open. I feel like sometimes Pittman only plays half the time. I mean, if you go back and look at some of his tape, sometimes I don't think he runs his routes at full 100, or give 100% effort, as I should say. But if you look at Josh Downs is always open all the time. So of course, when Gardner Minshew's back there, doing his reads and the only person he sees is number 1 running across the field wide open. I mean, I dump it off to him too. So Pittman has to do a lot better of basically getting open, and making his presence felt in a game, because he can be a game changer, and I do believe that. but he has to, if he wants to talk the talk, then he has to walk the walk. He has to make himself more vocal and more present in the game to get more targets.
Yeah, like I said, I'm with you. And hey, Josh Downs has been, like you said, he's been kind of showing that, hey, I am always open. And, go back to when he got drafted, kind of viral clip for Colts Nation of the fact that it's just like, you guys are drafted the best receiver in the league. I'm ready. Let's get to work. Let's get this done. Him and AR throwing passes before training camp because they're just that hungry. And so far, he's come to town and shown that everything he said on that draft night, he's proven it, and you love to see it. Like we talked on the last show, as a compliment to Pittman, early impression, sure, but he's proven to be it, and we're loving it. But like I said, and I said before, I'll just reiterate it. Pittman is that guy, and him saying this quote again, I love it, especially out of a loss. If it's out of a win, then we got problems. Then we're talking like Eric Ebron. Ebron did it a couple times after wins, coming out saying, I'm not getting the ball enough. Pittman saying this after a loss, I got zero problem.
Yeah, zero problem. And, just like you said earlier, like, you want your wide receiver one to say this. AJ Brown is trying to, pivot off of what he was saying earlier this year. We've seen him yelling at Hurts on the sideline. I mean, that would be beautiful, quite honestly, for Pittman to be yelling at the quarterback. I mean, granted, it's cool. It's cool to, just for everybody to get along, but sometimes you want to see conflict because that's how you win games. And granted, if we lose again, hey, people aren't going to be happy. It's not easy to smile after we lose. Emotions are always going to be high. So I think it's going to light a fire in them. And actually, overall, I mean, I think the Colts are going to come pissed off this week against the Saints because they don't want to be in a situation where the referees take the game again. So Pittman included, I think he leads the charge.
I think we should be like that from here out the rest of the season. I think this loss here should define the rest of the season. Like you said, Anthony, about them being pissed off and maybe coming out with some fire with the Saints. I'd like to see that. I'll be there firsthand this Sunday. I want to see that because I want to see that now, and I want to see that the rest of the season. Like I said, that loss shouldn't have been a loss. We should be at 4-3 right now, and we should come out this game with the same intensity as we came out last game, and for the rest of the season.
Yeah, exactly. Like you guys both said, that's one of this young leaders of this offense. Like I said, in terms of the weapons, he's probably he's the veteran of the group, only being in year number 4. So he's got to lead that charge. And like you said earlier, Marcus, he's just trying maybe firing up the boys, firing up himself. And again, like Gulick said, like I said, after a loss, you're gonna be mad. Exactly. We'd be concerned if he was all, like Anthony said, sunshines and daisies after a losing effort, especially in the fashion of which it happened. So absolutely, be pissed. I don't know if I'm on that. Yeah, I want to see him, yelling at Minshew idea, but that fire, that hunger to be better, to want better, expect better, and obviously again after losing, after go, like you said, Marcus, let's come out this next week then and let's blow the roof off. Absolutely. We just got screwed, and let's make another team pay for the refs' incompetence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, granted, the Saints are a good team. Their record might not show it, but they're a good team. But so were the Browns. The Browns defense was better than the Saints. So I'm just excited to see what happens. Alvin Kamara, bye. Take all of his unders. If you're betting people, take the under because they're not going to do anything this week. At least in my opinion. I said it at least for the Sunday night game this week. I said the worst thing for the Dolphins was the Bird losing to the Jets because they came out firing. Now, granted, like that's just how it always goes in the NFL. Like a team comes off a loss, they're going to come back pissed off. But the way that we went out, like that was the most bogus loss I've seen, at least from the Colts. And I want to say like 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's still the same core. Like everybody's just been here, but I want to say like this is probably the worst loss in like 6 or 7 years. So something's coming.
Yeah, I'm with you. Something's coming indeed. Like I said, they're gonna be mad, and it's that good anger. You want to see it. So let's end this off on a positive note, because Jonathan Taylor had a very nice showing this past week. It looks like they kind of let the reins loose, not necessarily on a snap count. Finally gets back in the end zone, and he's really back because the NFL gave him a drug test. So Marcus, how about number 28? Starting to show us that MVP JT.
Oh yeah, Steichen's kind of working him in a little bit on the offense, a little bit more each and every week, and this time he got a little bit more snaps. I like they kept him in on that last drive, was second to the last drive, where he pretty much was all the offense that we had running the ball all the way down the field, and we scored. JT's back. I do like Zach Moss, but I think the offense is a little bit better with Jonathan Taylor in there. And I think we'll start seeing that as the weeks go and the more ramped up that he gets on offense. We'll start probably seeing a little bit more or less of um, Zach Moss.
Yeah, exactly. And like Gula, you said it a while ago that it's the best 1-2 punch in the league. So take it away. How you still feeling now with 28 and 21?
Yeah, man, I was just about to say that, dude. I still think it's the best 1-2 in the league. I think, especially after watching this Cleveland game, I don't know how many yards per carry Moss averaged, but I feel like he averaged a good amount. It had to have been at least 3 or 4 yards a carry, and it was really good to see that because I like how they interchanged the backs. Taylor would have a nice 4 or 5 yard run. He takes a big hit. Here comes Zach Moss running up the middle, first down. Like the way that they use these two backs is very, very good. And I was just very impressed, quite honestly. And to all the Jonathan Taylor haters, his first game against Tennessee, his first game back, and I don't know how long he was hurt. I didn't take that into account. Second game, Jacksonville, we're cursed. I'm not putting too much stock into that. This game, there was talk all week. The Browns shut down McCaffrey. What are they going to do to Jonathan Taylor? He ran all over him. And, he even got involved in the passing game as well, which I thought is great. Last time he got involved in the passing game was, I want to say 21 when he was with Wentz. Jonathan Taylor, when he gets the ball in space, it's over. And, Minshew, for what he is, these quick reads, he can get the ball to Jonathan Taylor. He might not be able to do much, but he can get the ball to his playmakers. So, I just feel like the more that we get this guy the ball, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the big thing is like they really complement each other greatly. Like JT and Moss, they play off each other. Like Marcus said, you mix up the snap counts. You don't necessarily have a bell count anymore. And the way this new NFL is, most teams really don't have that bell cow back anymore. But the rotation we have in the backfield, it's nice. It's working. And again, we'll see how it goes for the rest of the season. Like I said, this season's kind of up in the air with obviously our franchise quarterback being out for the season for the year. But I mean, we're going to roll with the punches. We're going to take it how it's going. And again, sitting at 3-4, it could be a lot worse. Like I said, I know coming into the season, none of us were necessarily expecting like a playoff run or a deep run like that. But we're at least playing competitive football. We're hanging in there and we're getting some wins when we should be, getting some wins where we get robbed. But it's going to be a long grind. We're coming up on that halfway mark. But like I said, so far, so good in terms of the rest of the season. I mean, I don't know. I'll close up with this, guys. Like Marcus, like we're sitting at 3-4 right now. Rest of the season, how do you feel? You think we're going to maintain that plan? You think we end up over 500?
Like I said, coming into the season, I really didn't have any high expectations of what's going on. So right now, I'm just kind of riding the wave of what's going on. I really don't know. I mean, we're 1 minute we're high, the next minute we're low. So I really don't have a rest of the season prediction. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna sit back and ride the wave and see where we end up. I'm not even going to make a prediction because, like I said, it's just like it's hard to determine right now at this stage.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Like I'm with you on that. Gulick, if you've got one, go ahead.
Sitting at 3-4 here, I don't think the season is completely lost, but the way I look at it, I think we're going to end up winning 7 games. That's my prediction. the next 5, it's a winnable stretch. You got some easy teams in there like Carolina. They're struggling pretty bad. The Patriots, even though they just beat the Bills, I don't care. It's a division game. So, the Patriots still suck to me. I forgot who else we're playing. We're playing Tennessee again. They're going to be rolling out Malik Willis and Will Levis. So that's got to be a win for us. So if we win at least, 3 out of this next 5, and then, knowing Gardner Minshew, he's going to spoil somebody later in the season. I mean, the Raiders the Raiders week 17, that's a dub, regardless of who's at quarterback, even if Sam Ellinger is in there, if Minshew is hurt or for some reason, Sam Ellinger can beat the Raiders. The Raiders are just atrocious as well. They don't even throw to Devontae Adams. They can't even beat the Bears. I don't care if they have a backup. The Bears were also playing with a backup, and they can't even beat the Bears. So the Raiders, that's a dub. There's just at least 3 or 4 circled wins. I think the ceiling could be 8, but I think the floor would be 6 or 7.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I believe Vegas had the over/under for the Colts wins at 5.5. I think we're gonna hit the over. Like I said, coming in the season, I said 5 wins. I think 6 is definitely possible. I think with AR out, we're not. I don't think we're sneaking into the playoffs anymore. Jacksonville seems to kind of hit a little bit of a stride, but like I said from the beginning of the season, they were gonna run away with the division, and that's fine. Again, they're not miles and away ahead of us. I still don't believe they're miles ahead of us. In the case of this year, circumstance happen to fall in their favor. Obviously, the Titans are a dumpster fire, and us and the Texans, we're still in that rebuild, retool type of thing. But yeah, 6, 7 wins, I could see that happening, and I'm good with that because again, next year is when we really start making the moves for the division playoffs. That's when we really start talking. But as for this year, 6, 7 wins, it feels nice, and like you said, these next 5 games, a very winnable stretch. We can definitely hit some marks.
I could definitely see that too. I could definitely agree with Anthony on that. But like I said before, it could be high as 9. We don't know. Like I said, it's some days we come out and we play with fire, and some days we lose to teams that we shouldn't lose to. So, like I said, the wave is high right now. I'm just gonna ride it and see where it ends, see where it comes out.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to close it out with that one. If you're not already, make sure you're following us on Twitter, X, at First and 56. Also, give Sideline Sports a follow, both on YouTube and as well on Twitter X. Twitter X, Sideline Sport, the number 1. YouTube, like it sounds, Sideline Sports. You can catch our live streams, our podcasts, our videos, as well as other live streams, podcasts, and videos from other content creators, a part of the Sideline Sports team, underneath the Sideline Sports umbrella. And again, keep rocking with us. Obviously, halfway there, halfway to go. It's going to be a long season. May not go necessarily the way we want it to, but we're going to enjoy it. We're going to be here for every moment of it. But as for myself, Gulick, Marcus, Silent Sports is a team, 156 is an organization. This is 156, and we're signing out. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bella.